Thank you. There we go. That was a little fun fact, and just in case you didn't catch all the 3 buckets, I will go over that information again very briefly. Thank you, Carolyn, for the awesome introduction. I am the founder of True Impact Marketing, which is a neuromarketing strategy and research company based out of Canada. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about 2 very cool subjects, neuroscience and mobile, and bringing these 2 together, and we'll see what happens. I'll give you a bit of an introduction. The way we got started with this case study was being approached by Plastic Mobile. Plastic Mobile is a partner of ours who approached us about a year ago to understand how people navigate through mobile applications and how do you get them to convert on a mobile application, specifically mobile commerce. So how do you get them to purchase more things on a phone? They're experts in usability, and they're always pushing the boundaries to try to understand a little bit more about what makes people do what they do. So this is how our conversation got started. We wanted to really understand how users truly feel about mobile apps. So what we did is we went straight to the source. We went to the brain. A very brief background there on neuromarketing, just in case. The way I got started in this industry is very different. I studied neuroscience at the University of Toronto. I took neuroscience, psychology. I was fascinated by what makes people do what they do. And when I was ready to graduate, I went to my chair of psychology and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we apply this to business? He said, yeah, but it's not going to happen. Might as well just stop thinking about it. This is never going to be a field, so forget it. And I said, okay. So I did the next best thing. I began working in marketing. So for the last decade, I've been a marketer. I've been applying neuroscience principles to business until I had the opportunity to launch True Impact Marketing, and I was named local chair on the Neuromarketing Science and Business Association, which really opened up the doors and the opportunity to explore what's out there. Now, as a marketer, I was a little bit frustrated with the existing market research methodologies. And what I mean is basically I commission focus groups, I commission surveys, I'd get back a 50-page paper full of data, but not really insights on what to do with it. Or I'd sit in a focus group and I'd see people altering their answers to what they thought we wanted to hear, or one person dominating the conversation. And I realized I know a lot about the who and the what of my customer. I know who they are, I know what they're buying, but one piece of the puzzle I was missing is the why. And this is where I had to dig deeper. And I began thinking about what is the impact of our unconscious mind, our emotional brain, on what we do. This is typically what we think of when we think of market researchers, particularly as business people, as marketers. So we did a really good job at measuring what people are willing to tell us, surveys, focus groups, and so on. And we found that what people are willing to tell us is not necessarily what they do, otherwise we wouldn't get this kind of behavior still out there. So there had to be more to the puzzle. What we did is we looked at how people feel, because we know it's a precursor for what they will say and ultimately what they do. So if there's one thing for you to take away today, is that you may say what you think, but ultimately you're going to act on how you feel. And that's just the way we're designed. To recap, neuromarketing has 3, I guess, main buckets. I pointed out 2 on the screen. Neuroscience is where we measure the brain. Biometrics is where we measure the body, eye tracking, facial coding, heart rate, and so on. And we also have implicit association tests, which measure reaction time in the unconscious. So what we did in this study with Plastic Mobile was to pair EEG and eye tracking. And the reason this is a great pairing is because it's portable. This technology can be taken anywhere, including retail and online and so on. It's the least expensive for the most amount of information you can get, basically. So it makes a great marriage. We can see how people are feeling and where they're looking at the same time. So now I'll get to the case study. Instead of spending too much time on what we did, I'll just let a little video play. Just 1 second. Maybe we can get this up and going. So to give you just a bit of context, we had people, there we go, thank you.
Despite mass adoption of mobile, commerce continues to underwhelm. This year, total online spending is forecasted to reach $260 billion, with mobile commerce accounting for a mere $34 billion. The question on everyone's mind is, why? Since mobile design and user experience are invaluable to adoption of mobile apps, we suspected poor experiences might have something to do with it. Unfortunately, users can't always be relied on to identify what design elements might be keeping them from finding what they're looking for. In an attempt to better understand what users respond to in mobile apps, Plastic Mobile and True Impact Marketing joined forces to measure emotion and attention using cutting-edge biometrics and neuroscience technology. We followed 14 men and 16 women through 5 stages of a transaction-focused user journey across 3 popular commerce apps: Pizza Pizza, Best Buy, and Hyatt. The 5 stages were home, browsing, selection, checkout, and confirmation. Eye tracking glasses captured what users were looking at first, last, most, and least, while we simultaneously measured their emotion and attention engagement levels using an EEG headset. The results allowed us to see what stages of the transactions evoked positive and negative emotions and kept or lost users' attention. The data unveiled invaluable insights into the design elements that actually engage users. It also showed that what people say and what they feel are not always aligned. Respondents stated that the selection stage was their preferred stage for all of the apps, but the data revealed low points of emotional engagement in 2 of the 3 apps. We also determined that apps can have a positive influence on overall brand perception, correlating directly with usability and design. Neuroscience affords deeper insight into usability testing, bridging the gap between what users say and how they actually feel while they're using mobile applications. It allows us to pinpoint the areas that are helping or hindering the mobile commerce user journey. Ultimately, user experience and design are at the heart of a successful mobile application. An app that's enjoyable gets used and shared, and one that's difficult to navigate collects dust or gets deleted. Download the report for our complete findings on how design and user experience can make or break a mobile commerce journey.
Okay, great, thank you. So the full report is available for download at trueimpact.ca. Today I'm going to focus on the top 3 findings and what the company actually did with them and what we learned from the study. A key finding is that to browse is actually very different than checking out. Our gut feeling reaction is telling us that we would have a lot more fun browsing for a product than actually having to pay for it, which is more painful. You have to put in your credit card information, you have to put in your personal details, and so on. So what we did is we asked people, what was your favorite part of the experience? In this case, for the Pizza Pizza app, they said, I love the selection stage. I love picking my pizza, putting the toppings, and so on. Then we asked them, what's your least favorite? And of course, they said checkout. But at the same time, while they were going through the app, we measured how they felt at an emotional level. So we tracked emotional engagement as it performed from the beginning to the end. And what we found was actually not what we expected to find. We found emotional engagement peaked towards the end. What's interesting here is 2 main things. People are not always going to say exactly how they feel. Maybe because they're not able to identify it or express it right away. But what's also interesting is that you can design a mobile experience in a way that it's actually engaging at checkout, and it actually converts a lot more people. And this data is actually proven in market. Some changes from this study, this usability study, have been implemented. So what we found is that the Pizza Pizza app actually outperformed the other ones, which scored negatively at checkout. So you can see Hyatt and Best Buy both had a more negative emotional engagement towards the end, whereas Pizza Pizza was much higher towards the end. And the market data shows over 6,000 downloads and 5-star rating versus the other apps that only received 3-star ratings on the App Store. So key takeaways: feelings trump words. And if you're going to design an experience, be it mobile, online, make sure you make it a good experience, particularly towards the end. We know from neuroscience that an experience that ends on a good note, on a high note, is much more likely to be encoded into long-term memory. So it's very important that you don't lose them at the very end when they're about to become a client. Like the app, like the brand, we asked people to describe each brand as if it was a person. So we asked them, if Pizza Pizza was a person, how would you describe this person? Same thing for Best Buy and same thing for Hyatt. Before using the application, most people described Pizza Pizza as fun, reliable, delicious. Best Buy was techie, unsure. Hyatt was classy, luxury, and comfort. After using the mobile applications, we saw a change in the way people perceived the brand. Pizza Pizza became more convenient, Best Buy became more practical and variety, and unfortunately, Hyatt became expensive, complicated, and premium. When measuring their brain activity at the same time, when we presented the logo before and at the end as well, we saw that change occur for every single brand. For Pizza Pizza, there was a 58% increase in how people felt about the brand before and after using the mobile app. Best Buy had a slight increase and Hyatt had a slight decrease. What's interesting to note here is that your brand is susceptible to being affected by a poor experience. So you want to make sure that every time you interact with a customer, you design the best possible customer experience that you can. So we have to, if we like the experience, we're going to like the brand. Get to the point. This is another interesting finding. Using eye tracking, we measured where people were looking in the first couple of seconds on the mobile, on the screen, and to see what images they were looking at. Interestingly enough, Pizza Pizza and Best Buy both had promotions, so people were looking at the promotions. However, for Hyatt, no one was actually looking at the logo, unfortunately. Most people were looking at the center picture, which I'm not sure you can tell. It's an image of a father holding his son. And this is very normal, and we see this often in neuroscience as well. If you're going to show a picture of people interacting or faces, it's going to take away from your product because we are, as human beings, are designed to recognize faces before recognizing logos. So in our case, it was important to get to the point. Pizza Pizza took a very long time to load, whereas the other two did not take as long. We saw that this had a negative effect on emotional engagement right at the start. Now, Pizza Pizza recovered because of much better usability later on. However, if you start off on the wrong foot and you make the customer wait too long to get in and experience your brand, you may be actually influencing the whole experience afterwards. So first impressions do set the tone. You don't want to make people wait to experience your brand. So to wrap it all up, it takes a lot of thought and a lot of planning to design something that people will innately gravitate to and that they will love. Neuroscience can help give you this kind of insight to understand what people are reacting to. Things like reducing hurdles at checkout. Every interaction is a brand building opportunity. You saw how people's perception of the brand was affected by having used the app. And make sure you let them experience your brand quickly. We consider, under the umbrella of neuromarketing, we always consider both. We look at what people are willing to tell us and also how they feel. Oftentimes, we see a discrepancy between what people say and how they truly feel. And it's always interesting to see and to correlate that back to what they do. So remember, they may say what they think, but they're going to act on how they feel. So what are we trying to find out using neuromarketing? We're trying to find out what's beneath the surface. How can we predict behavior a little bit better? And how can we optimize communications that are human-friendly, designed for our minds and our bodies, and that don't speak to us in terms of feature, function, numbers, but speak to us at an emotional level? Just remember, our customers are a lot more than just data. Thank you.